Today's date is 1/25/2014. Yes, it's Saturday. And what do we have before us? We have a call chart that 99% of the people have never seen one. They just don't, but they love to be option traders and never seen a call chart or a put chart. How about that? Boy, what a warped way of doing business. So basically, when we have the highs over here, and where I'm going to give you the dates, on 12/5 of 2013, that high in December on this particular 550 monthly expiration is we were up here at 46.58. And then the contracts during this phase, when Apple was going down, they hit a high, they dropped to a high of 31 and a low of 29. Then they popped right back up here to 42.65. Then down here, yes, they were temporarily on the close there at 18.20, and then we popped all the way up here to 29.65. Now, having said that, Apple is going to report its quarterly results on Monday. And yes, we do favor the call side of the market because we believe that Tim Cook, the CEO now of Apple, had guided the numbers lower and that the margins are not going to be an issue as they were in the October quarter. And how Apple had a very good numbers in October. However, though, the stock in volatility went down and then, of course, it rebounded. This time here, we're looking for the total opposite of that event. Part of the event would be the following, is that the broader part of the NASDAQ 100 high volatility names have all made their moves in calendar 2013. However, unfortunately, Apple has underperformed its peers. So, why is it that I would be selling out of Google, selling out of Amazon, selling out of LinkedIn, selling out of Priceline, and then doing what? Buy Apple to go long and sell the others. Before, it was quite invert. It was, let's buy Google and sell Apple. Well, now that Google's made a robust calendar all-time yearly highs, is that why is it that higher institutional money would be selling what? Google and buying Apple, just the opposite. Before it was short Apple and get long Google and other names related to it. So this is what the March call contract looks like. And we have contracts in here. And the lows were at 2070, but let us not forget that the close was 22.30. So we're about $1.70 difference in our entry. However, Apple sold down significantly, and one of the things that I will be happy to do is when Apple sold down on Friday and tested its 50-day simple moving average here, and the whole broader market got taken to the woodshed. It just wasn't this name that pulled back. But yes, we are going into the earnings with the 10-day simple moving average, and the 50-day did not completely collapse. The 20-day, it regained this closing level here at 546. And that the 20-day simple is 548. Slightly below the 20-day. But let us not forget that the 10-day is 547. And let us not forget the more significant moving average in here is the 50-day. And that 50-day simple moving average hasn't been going down in value. It's been rising in value, which is more bullish than bearish. And it's 546.65. So, Apple is long overdue. They had their product launches in their phones. Now they're talking about the Apple ITV. Yes, they have the China mobile deal. That has become evident because they announced that agreement with each other. Being the largest phone carrier in the world, China Mobile, is what does Apple see in forward-looking numbers. So they haven't had a lot of time with that new arrangement in this last previous quarter that they're going to report the numbers on. We do know that Microsoft did fairly well, and there's a couple of other ones. And Apple is that Mr. Icon, his name, he bought the stock at 440. Then he said he was buying it just recently, like just a couple of days ago. And of course, all of those tweets from him are out on the internet, and everyone knows it. So that means that he has double the exposure that he had. That means that his price, if he was buying at 450, let's say, and he's buying at 540, his cost is probably somewhere right above the $500 level. Now, why would he know more? Well, super powerful money can know more than people like us. All we can do is use the numbers that Apple has put out and then come up with a contrarian view. But why is it that this particular earnings season in the January 14 quarter going to be a much better quarter? They're going to say, we already know that they sold a lot of phones. So as long as they come up beating there, then they've got their Mac computer division and whatnot. And they have their 30th year anniversary. And they did. And that's something for them to celebrate about. And so Apple TV, or iTV, they're going to call it that. They mentioned that. People have been waiting for that forever. Okay? So basically it's forward-looking guidance. And Apple can beat those numbers. That means that these contracts over here are going to go higher than $46. As far as a monthly call, 550 March now. This is not a short-term event call. No, it's not. So having said that, this is how we feel about their preview of Apple. Here we have a 560 call that a lot of people were buying, and we're just taking a look at. Remember, the call prices at certain strike prices all look the same, and that this 560 call, where the open interest at that time was 11,000, there was 2,900 traded, and that happened to have been right over on 115 calendar 2014 as far as the 560 call. However, we have seen, though, that the open interest on this particular one now, including Friday's trade, was 2,500, but the open interest 12,912. That's on the 560 call for February. February 550 call. Yes, we can take a look at where those all-time lows were at $12. That high peak was 25.40. Then we had put in a low of 1567. However, with Apple selling down this call contract, the close was 1740 and the high was 21. And we have 7 of these. But we're fairly wholesale to them. So the reason why we wanted 2 different strike prices is that the monthly February one, which has a lower volume entry for risk, is that we will be a seller of these based on the big pop, and if the news is really good, well, now we've got a further calendar month out that if things go the way and as we anticipate Apple to go, is that we wouldn't have to sell those right away. And it just depends on what the guidance is going to be and whatnot, but it will be the following. If they give upside guidance, they talk about the China Mobile deal and what those numbers are going to look like forward looking. And then, of course, what was the total sales of their new phone launch. Remember this, the only new launches that I'm aware of is at Apple TV, iTV, or whatever you call it. But the phone products themselves, they're going to take a while for another new launch. So basically, That last new setup and launch, that was a whole different type of trade. But now that that's been released and been selling in this quarter that's coming up on Monday to report those numbers and see what they look like, we have a fairly decent idea that those numbers look good. Even though that the retail sector and apparel and other various retail items, particularly the apparel, those uh, stocks like Bed Bath and Beyond and Best Buy and you could take a look at Coach and you could take a look at quite a few of those retailers like Lululemon. Look at the retail sector has not been a favorable sector. However, the consumer now has changed its spending habits. And why do I need to go buy some new clothes? I got great ones already. I can go buy an iPhone instead. So, what is more important to the consumer right now as far as what they need? So, and what they've been buying. And we're going to know another thing is what the other sales look like in different parts of the world, and particularly the Chinese market, and what does it look like, and how are the subsidies? So the carrier, China Mobile, what does those subsidies look like to the purchase of the phone and whatnot? Remember that Chinese people over there still have a lot of money, and they do. And so for a lot of people over there, buying this phone and having that gadget and that bragging rights, hey, I've got my Apple iPhone, and they can all sit around. Hey, listen, they can afford them. Don't be fooled.